Was this a test of our faith?
And what that means is
Feel what we're feeling because God has made a way.
But believers must be reminded that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. For that song, Jesus is the light. He's the way. Indeed, we bless his name. Last week, we spoke about, last week is the first Sunday of the year, right? And God's word to us was that as we analyze 2017, as we analyzed 2017, and then we experienced 2018, then we are projecting into 2019. The question is, what we are going to be, or what are we going to do? I mentioned the fact that over the Christmas period, many of us received greetings from people. And those greetings included Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. And we said we should change, we who received the greetings, should change the greeting of prosperity into a goal for prosperity in 2019. That's possible. It's possible if we sit and decide what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. I said, friends, if you're going to achieve prosperity, you need to make sure that you are connected to Jesus Christ, who is the source of prosperity. So connect to Jesus Christ. He is the source of all prosperity. Wisdom requires, and I suppose all of us here have wisdom. Wisdom requires that when there is a raise period at work, when it's time for raise, pay at work, employees make sure that they are on good terms with their bosses. Is that right? Is that right, friends? Doesn't go so. A whole year. But when it comes to the time, you're looking forward to it. So therefore you smile more and laugh more. Anyway, you take it as it is. However, God's message today is to obtain and maintain God's favor. To obtain and maintain God's favor. All of us as Christians, and all of us as believers, and even if you aren't a Christian, you need to find a way to stay informed. Stay informed for right living. So last week we said, stay connected. This week, I implore you to stay informed. Stay informed. There are certain considerations I'm going to bring to you this morning as you contemplate your role in prosperity. Facts I'm going to bring. Number one, fact number one, knowledge enriches fellowship. Stay informed because knowledge enriches fellowship. The ecclesia, which means, it's a Greek word for the universal church that binds all Christians together into one body, who is the physical mouthpiece through whom God relates himself to us and us to him. That is, all Christians are bound together with Jesus Christ, and we are called the ecclesia, which means the universal church. This is a local church. The universal church includes everybody throughout the world who are children of God. That body, universal church, is the mouthpiece of God. He is the one through whom, the church is the ones through whom he relates to the world, and we relate to him. Is that clear? Is that clear? So the ecclesia, I hope that you are a part of it. CBC is a part of it. But the individuals of CBC need to make sure that we are a part of the ecclesia, because that is the group that God speaks through to us, and that the group that we speak to God through. In Acts 17 and verse 28, we read, Acts 17 and verse 28, we read, in him we live. Read it, friends. If you read with me, please. In him we live and move and have our being. Hold it. In Jesus Christ we live and move and have our being. As also some of your own poets have said, for we are his offspring. So the universal church binds all Christians together, and all Christians live and move by the power of God. We are one in him. I hope you understand that. We're talking about information. God's information. Whether in the family, among friends, at work, or in the membership of CBC, knowledge of God, God's righteousness, enriches fellowship. Do you agree? Let's say amen, friends. Wherever you are, whatever situation, knowledge increases and enriches fellowship. Fellowship does not put man on the same level with God, but it is an indicator of relationship. Fellowship indicates relationship. Fellowship indicates relationship. Fellowship indicates relationship. Whether social or spiritual. Fellowship is an essential ingredient for happy living. Fellowship is an essential ingredient for happy living. How do you know that? How you don't know that? How you know or don't know? He who feels it knows it. You've got to be involved in fellowship, whether at home or whether you're in the church, whether you're at work. Fellowship is significant. Nothing is worse than a group of people together, but they are not together. It's strange what's going on. And there's all kind of malice and cursings and all kind of things. But when you are in fellowship, it's a different kind of situation. Do you agree? The believers yearning for fellowship with God and others is a natural outcome of the love of God, which has been placed in us for all of us to be built up in Jesus Christ. In other words, friends, all of us as believers, it is natural for us to yearn after fellowship, because fellowship is the resource upon which the church is built. So what I'm saying is, if you are a child of God, if you are a believer, you have got to yearn for fellowship, especially if you don't have it. Let me take you back to the home. If your fellowship at home is not all right, you're not all right. You should not be all right. If you say you're a couple, indeed you're a couple, and the family, and the fellowship at home is not all right, nothing is all right if the fellowship isn't all right. You could have money until dog or stone you. If your fellowship is not all right, the major thing is wrong. Major thing is gone. You can pretend as much as you want. When at home it's not all right, you take it to church. And you sing and you carry on all kind of things. But deep down in your heart, something is missing. The believers, those who believe in Jesus Christ, yearning for fellowship with God and others is a natural outcome of love. You see, my friend, love is the basis of fellowship. Love is the basis of fellowship. Let's read 1 John chapter 2, verses 9 and 10. 1 John chapter 2, verses 9 and 10. Let's read it together. He who says he is in the light, we sang about the light this morning, and hates his brother is in darkness until now. All right, continue. He who loves his brother and abides in the light, and there is no cause for stumbling in him. He who loves his brothers does not have any cause for stumbling psychologically, nor spiritually. In other words, God's word says, beloved, let us love one another. And love, the meaning of love in that context is to be concerned for each other. concern for each other. That's why we emphasize, when you come to church, you can't just come to church and you sit down, you listen, and you go home. You have to show off a little something. Meet somebody, greet somebody. Because the child of God yearns for each other. That's why some people say they have got to come to church, rain or shine, because we yearn for each other. That's the same thing we do with God. When you're a child of God, you yearn to know Him. You yearn for Him. If you don't have that yearning for each other and that yearning for God, we question your relationship. Question your relationship. Whether you are married or not married, whether you are, it doesn't matter. You question your relationship, because love is one of the bases of relationship. Whether it is social or spiritual. As I have said too often, when we are born again, when we are saved, you naturally have a desire to know and to fellowship with the rest of the family. When you're born again, when you're a child of God, you have a yearning for the rest of the family. Let's say, even if you're here in CBC, but you're a child of God, you yearn for the others in Africa, for Asia, because we are all brothers and sisters together. Jesus Christ is the head. He is the boss. He is the key that binds us together. And so, my friends, no, I don't expect everybody to understand me. I don't expect everybody to really get what I am saying, because it's a private matter. This is a matter that concerns members of the family. And if you are not a member of the family, I don't expect you to yearn. Don't expect you to understand it very easily. That is, if you're a child of God, you yearn for each other who is a member of your family. If you don't belong to the family, you will be concerned, but you don't yearn for them. But when you're a child of God, you yearn for each other. And that yearning has to do with knowledge. You want to know, especially if you have never met. You have never met your relative. You want to meet your relative. Just let me meet. I've heard the stories of people who are adopted. And when later on, when they understand that they were adopted, they said, they just want to see my people. Just want to. I'm not saying that I'm going to live with them, but just let me see them. And you yearn for each other when you are members of the family. And so, my friends, you have to feel the love of God and the love to understand how it feels. You have to feel the love of God to understand how it feels to yearn for those whom you love. You understand me, friends? You getting me? What I'm talking about, friends, is fellowship. Love assures you of the power of fellowship. Love is significant for fellowship. And if you just think about your situation at home, in the family, in the church, and so on, and question whether you can relate to that. I am a child of God. Indeed, I look forward to coming among you to share the word of God. I look forward to it. because you're my brother and my sister. So, if my brother and my sister are somewhere, I should yearn to know what they are doing and how they are doing. Because we are one family. That's what I'm talking about. One family. There was a man in Jamaica, one who was a member of my church. And he was running a little private thing, taxi. What do you call it? Robot. He was running a robot. And the police caught him with a car filled with people. And he said, one family boss, one family. And he has the right to transport his family. When you belong to one family, this makes a difference. When you belong to God and He belongs to you, it's one family. You're protected by the power of the family. This is only, as I said, for those who are members of the family. And if you aren't a member of the family, you know what you're missing. You don't know what you're missing to be a child of the family. The family and God's love is significant. Now, friends, information. The topic is stay informed. Stay informed. Stay informed about your family. Who are they and how did they come? Information about God and the Christian faith stimulates the mind and provides the basis for our longing. In other words, I want to know that it stimulates love of my family, stimulates the mind, it bothers the mind, it stirs up the mind and sets me longing for the fellowship. In other words, if you're a child of God, you're going to long for the fellowship with God. You can't just go on as though nothing, because the knowledge increases longing for fellowship. Philippians 3 and verse 10. Let's read it. Philippians 3 and verse 10. Read, friends. Let's go back to the beginning of the verse. Because I believe in God, because I heard about God, because I heard about my people, Paul says, I want to know Christ. If you are a child of God, you're going to yearn to know Christ. Because He's the family, He's the leader. He's the boss. He's the father. So Christians yearn to know Jesus Christ. The more you want to, the more you know, is the more you want to know. Paul says, I want to know Christ. Yes, to know the power of His resurrection and participation in His suffering, because participation in His sufferings, becoming like His death. I want to know God, and I want to understand what He did and how He did it for me. Yearn for Jesus Christ. If you're a child of God, you have that yearning for Jesus Christ. That's what I'm talking about with prosperity. You see, for Paul, knowledge becomes prosperity. So I want to know that I may prosper, and my prosperity is to understand God and to have fellowship with Him. We're talking about our whole year. We are setting the pace for the year. Knowledge is significant. Stay informed. Stay yearning for the fellowship. And your yearning leads you by knowledge of Him. I don't want to go to church one time. I don't want to fellowship one time. I don't want to feel good one time. I want to yearn, have a desire to know Jesus Christ and to fellowship with one another. I want to know Christ and the power of His resurrection and the fellowship of His suffering. I want to learn. I want to know Him. That should be our desire. That should be part of the plan for prosperity. The result of that is that when you really want to know Jesus Christ, you really want to know His people and how He works, the character of God. The result of that yearning for knowledge, what you do is you get involved in various ministries of the church. You want to know God? Get involved in various ministries of this church to advance the knowledge in righteousness and to keep a sound mind. See, it's like when you really have a desire for something, you are gripped so much that you may even act stupidly because you are getting it. Another illustration is that when children really, really want something, they are so determined. Every part of their body is moving towards that one goal. That is, when we are children of God, we yearn to know God. You yearn after knowledge in righteousness. And until you get it, until you find it, your mind is not settled. You ever see sometimes, my mind is not settled. Have you had a mind that is not settled sometimes? Not settled because you haven't achieved what you want to achieve. When you are searching for God, until you find what you want to find in Him, your mind is not settled. The Bible calls it sound mind. Get involved and start the knowledge of Jesus Christ. Negative attitudes, unchristian-like behavior, and disrespect for Christian standards indicate that you have little or no interest in the Christian culture. I'm yearning to know more about God, but you're not interested in that. So you are going to display negative attitude, unchristlike behavior, no love, no respect. But when you're a child of God, you yearn to know Him and you yearn to understand His righteousness. CBC facilitators, ministers, and all Christians need to stay informed. Stay informed. Stay yearning to understand. Christianity helps to make intelligent and relevant decisions. If you're seeking prosperity, you need to go through Christianity to know what is right from what is wrong. Your mind tells you this, But what is it that influences your mind to tell you what it tells you? You've got to check out Christianity. That's one thing that I can be sure of. I can tell you from experience, the Christian faith helps you to make relevant and right decisions. In this society, we have, I'm sure all of us may not agree, but I say this. In this society, we have to maneuver our lives and relate to different people, especially people who are not of our culture. Let me repeat. In this society, we have to maneuver our lives. Go right, go left, go forward, know when to go, and to relate to different people, especially not of our culture. This is a challenging society with mixed culture. We have on record over 30 different nationalities of people who belong to this church. It's not easy, but you have to maneuver your way in interaction with people. Stay informed by the Christian faith, and you will not be entangled with the yoke of bondage. Stay informed, and you will not be informed with the yoke of bondage, this sinful nature. Stay informed. You will learn how to relate to people of different culture. If not, you are going to be entangled with the yoke of bondage that is Satan's and the natural human nature. That's the only way you can understand how to do it. Stay informed. My friends, knowledge of God is significant. So I'm telling you, you see, we are starting a new year. And I'm saying, the Christians or believers or whoever you are cannot stay on the same level that you were last year. You're aiming for prosperity in 2019. You've got to change your ways. You've got to stay informed. Maybe you're just going, everything you only the past. Things are moving. Even if you don't want to move, things move, leave you. You've got to stay informed. Second thing I want to say, friends, is not just knowledge enriches fellowship. Not just knowledge enriches fellowship. Whether in the home or in the church or wherever, knowledge enriches fellowship. The more you know the boss, it's the more intelligent you will be how to deal with him. You used to quarrel with him, you find that it doesn't work. You have to be, you have to stay uncrooked and cut straight. What that means? Is there anybody who doesn't understand my slang? Stay uncrooked and cut straight. Who doesn't understand? All right, one. All right. Let me tell you the easiest way. Your relationship may be crooked. The right's wrong, no, it's crooked. It's not straight. But you have to take it easy and study it. Don't fight it. That means cut straight. You don't fight. You can fight, could fight, but you don't want to fight. So the situation is that I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to go on as though it's all right. Because when you stay uncrooked and cut straight, you may win the battle much easier. Have I helped you? So then, if you're going to succeed in 2019 to achieve prosperity, you have got to know when to do and what not to do. You're going to change your ways. Because your aim is prosperity. So you don't want to fight. You may have to fight, but fight positively. But you cannot draw, the man draw fists and you draw a gun. That's not prosperity. The second thing is, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. I want you all to understand me. Knowledge is power. Wisdom is the tool of the mind that directs the appropriate use of knowledge. Wisdom is the tool of the mind that directs the use of knowledge. In other words, if you have knowledge, you need wisdom to use it right. That's it. Wisdom, the Bible says that Solomon, when he was chosen to succeed his father, and God asked him, what do you mean? What do you want me to do with Solomon? What do you want me to give you? He said, God, give me knowledge that I can know how to rule these people, because these people are not easy. He got power, but he asked for wisdom to use the power. All of us need wisdom to use our knowledge. All of us are qualified in the things, qualified in something. But the problem is, the use of the knowledge sometimes make you stupid. So Jesus Christ asked, the disciples asked Jesus, give me some wisdom. Knowledge is power, but power needs wisdom. Applying knowledge will enable you to discern the voice of wisdom. When you seek wisdom to use your knowledge, you will know how to apply your knowledge in your situation that you face. You see, my friends, all of us have knowledge, but we need a little more wisdom. Whether we interact, I'm talking primarily to believers, and I addressed facilitators, teachers, ministers, other Christians. Wisdom is necessary to apply knowledge. Application of knowledge will enable you to discern the voice of wisdom. Whether we interact as a child or to a child, whether you interact as an adult to an adult, in school, at work, or other social gatherings, or CBC, you cannot take anything for granted. You're a teacher, but you cannot take it for granted. Let me say it. I told you a story once that when students teachers stood before the class one day, and the teachers were talking to the students about aeronautics, that how to fly plane and all that. And the teacher was saying what she was saying. But in the midst of it, a child put up his finger and said, "Teacher, that's not how my father tells me how it goes. That's not how my father tells me how it goes." And then the child said, "This is how my father," he said, "My father is a pilot." You are dealing with theory, and the child didn't say this, but the child means that you're dealing with theory, but I know the practical. You see, my friends, if the teacher was wise, the teacher would say, "How many of you know about flying plane? And how many of you know?" The teacher would not be so embarrassed, because she had power, but she did not have wisdom to use the power. Are you with me? And so, my friends, facilitators, teachers, ministers, or whether you preach from the pulpit, you've got to have used wisdom to use your power. Don't misuse your power unless you have the wisdom to use it. And so, let's all not just seek knowledge, but seek the wisdom to use the knowledge. If you want to prosper this year, seek the wisdom of God as you go along, because you have to detect what is right and what is wrong, and it's not very easy. Jesus encourages us to stay informed in righteous living. You want to go ahead? You want to prosper? You've got to know my righteous living. You've got to know how to do it. Jesus encourages righteous living. It's an indicator of prosperity. You want to get ahead, you want to do things on behalf of Him, you've got to know Him to do it. My friends, if you're going to go ahead as a Christian teacher, or pastor, or minister, or whatever, you've got to know Jesus Christ to be able to talk about Him. Christianity allows us to know Him. And Paul said, you've got to get to know Him. There are many, well, let me be careful now. If you're a politician or whatever, you've got to know it to administer it. Beware, Jesus Christ says, of our enemies who come to your environment like a sheep. Beware of those who come to your environment. I'm saying it that way because I want children to understand that when you meet as a group you don't know, you've got to know who is who. When you meet as people of the church, when you meet as politicians, when you meet where you meet, when you meet, how you meet, you've got to know who you are and they are. But it's not very easy. You've got to know to show. That means you've got to see God's wisdom. That is, you've got to know the righteousness of God to be able to know what is right. Some people teach and preach, but they don't know what they're teaching and preaching about until you experience Jesus Christ. Be aware. the evil intentions that are waiting for a chance, the evil intentions is waiting for a chance to destroy your potential by friendship. Evil intentions are waiting for a chance to destroy your potential. Not everyone that says, Lord, Lord, is with you. And I'm telling you, friends, because as you start this year, you need to understand that it's not just easy. Not just like a cruise. It's not cruise. You don't cruise into 2019 as a child of God seeking prosperity. But the Bible says, be aware, because they come like sheep, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. Some of you have experienced it. You've experienced it. And you said, if I know what I know before I know, God knows I would not go that way. So you have to understand. That's why Jesus Christ says, study my righteousness. Be informed of righteousness, because it will lead the way. Evil intentions are there. You know, not only will it destroy your potential, mash up your future, the hope of future, but this evil intention will frustrate your marriage by mashing up your friendship in the marriage. You don't understand. The devil knows the power of friendship, the power of knowledge. The devil knows that. The devil will come into your family and hurt the situation that your friendship between you and your husband begin to shake. And when that shaking begins, the devil, what's the devil is doing? The devil is killing the friendship in your marriage. Because if the friendship in your marriage is dead, your marriage is dead also. Because it is friendship that keeps your marriage. Friendship that keeps your marriage. Even if you don't have money to buy a hamburger, friendship between you and your husband will keep your marriage going. So watch it, my friends. Make sure that you get informed in the righteousness of God. He will lead you how to detect the enemy. So God's word says, I remind you, and I several times I remind you, friends. Maybe you don't pay me any mind, because some people don't listen in church, you know. Some people don't listen in church. Some people, instead of listening and get little something and put it in their minds and so on and so forth, their minds are all over the place. But my friends, when God gives you the opportunity to come to church, you must draw from the church. Don't mix up the message with the messenger. Get the word of God, because it's important. So, I told you before that friendship is the glue that binds a loving couple in pursuing a happy future. Friendship is the glue that binds the happy couple who are pursuing happiness in the now and the future. The importance of friendship. Friendship is significant. Knowledge informs you to keep your friendship, show you how to maintain your friendship. The friendship in marriage. Of course, it is obvious that the glue seemed to have been weakened somewhat in 2018. The glue that holds marriage together seemed to have been weakened. You know when this thing is weak? Weakened in 2018. There's so many marriages that seem to have gone or going on the rocks. Where is the glue? The glue is friendship. Where is the glue that keeps you? Where is the glue that you march to the altar with? And you said, I do. Where is the glue? It's weakened. It's weakened by lack of knowledge. Knowledge. Significant. That you know how to do what you are. How to know your responsibility. But mainly, know how to keep the glue going. Significant, my friends. To whom it may concern. To whom it may concern. You need to understand that prosperity is accomplished through a process. We're talking about how to prosper, how to change the greeting to a prosperity. Your prosperity is achieved through a process. You don't think the same time you walked up, the couple walked up to the altar, when they are walking down, they are students of marriage, not graduates. So I've got to know how to maneuver your way through the marriage. You don't run because of the first thing that your wife says to you that was grievous. Take a positive view. When your wife tells you something grievous, one of the ways to deal with it, when you think about it and realize it's grievous, smile. 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 And say, Lord, despite her grievous saying, when I look at her, she looked good. And if she feed you, she feed me. So guess what? You don't see the grievous no longer. You see the good. I'm saying, friends, this is the way to maneuver your relationship. If you need prosperity, you've got to think of a process. For example, interested students need to sacrifice the pleasure of playing with your modern gadget. Listen to me carefully. Sacrifice the pleasure of playing with your modern gadget and use that time to study the process by which the gadget was made. In other words, I'm going to sacrifice the pleasure of using it to study the process of making it. So the same gadget brings me pleasure, but it can bring me knowledge. Students need to understand that. Young people at church and otherwise need to understand that. Sacrifice the time that you spend enjoying the gadget by studying how they put the gadget together, that you might become a technician rather than a joker. You know it all in jokes. This is somewhat what I'm saying to us friends, that prosperity is a process. It takes time. It's easy to have pleasure, but it takes a little time to get into the process of marriage and a Christian life or whatever. Church membership. Your church members, you don't turn your back upon church because one member may say something bad to you. You blame the whole church. You don't turn your back upon people in the church or otherwise because of one statement that may be a lie. Take your time. Take it easy. No need to worry. Though the time is rough and the saying doesn't taste too nice, take your time. Take it easy. No need to fight. My friends and young people, and all of you who have these gadgets, and all the using these gadgets, and everyone seems to be using the gadgets these days. I'm not saying, I didn't say gadgets was wrong enough. But playing with someone's, when you play with a gadget, you're playing with someone's product. Listen to me carefully. You're playing with someone's product or products, whatever you say. That is entertainment. But the gadget can also be used to lead to knowledge. And that's what I mean, that you don't do things the same way. You don't necessarily do the same thing the same way. Sometimes the problems in the home is just that they are tired of the same thing the same time. Change it. The same thing, but change it up. It's brand new. In other words, wisdom. And so, my friends, for Christianity, as you contemplate moving ahead, as you contemplate the process of prosperity, let your knowledge be significant and apply the wisdom of God. Whether you stand before a class, teaching a class, or whether you stand before a group, whether you stand in the pulpit, seek to grow in grace and in the knowledge of Jesus Christ before you teach. Christianity and Christians grow by the progressive, Christians grow by the progressive revelation of God to a mind that is searching. And if you're dealing with school or whatever, not just searching, we talk about students who have an inquiring mind. Inquiring mind. In other words, my friends, if your mind is waiting for knowledge, and your communication with God reaches up to Him, God will empower you with the knowledge to understand how to do His work and how to maintain your Christian faith. So don't doubt yourself. When you see any kind of negative maybe going on through you in your environment, don't necessarily, you have to know what to do. Be positive. Take a positive role. Don't condemn yourself and destroy yourself. Be positive. Because God's word says, I will supply all of your needs according to my riches in glory. God bless you, friends. May you achieve prosperity this year.